Hey, deserving listeners, 90 Day Bears All, let's watch. All right, Big Ed can play the piano, who knew? And Sean is enjoying it. I'm really upset that I hadn't been watching this show from the beginning. I think this episode came out months ago, and I'm just now seeing it. I think people were asking me to watch it, but maybe not a lot of people. But anyway, let's see. I'm hoping that Sean will ask him some questions that I've had regarding Ed's personality. Let's see if we can get to it.
Can you ever see yourself being friends?
No, I don't want any connection to Ed.
Okay. That was pretty definitive, Rose. Pretty definitive.
I deserved every word.
Oh, okay. That's
interesting. So Ed has exhibited sometimes an ability, particularly during the tell-alls, the ability to take responsibility for his behavior. One could argue that he's just doing that as a game, as some sort of impression management behavior, or that he is aware enough and differentiated enough and caring, altruistic enough to admit that there's something wrong with him. We've also seen a mode that he goes into with Rose and with Liz where when he knows that he's very rejected, he will blame himself, possibly as a conscious, possibly unconscious effort to win someone back, wherein he will resort to his ways that we've seen on the show. Let's see if we can detect which one it is here.
That's interesting. Why do you say that, Ed?
So you had a right to be upset. And I was upset. I was heartbroken. I know you were heartbroken.
Okay, so this isn't looking too good for him. He's like, you had a right to be upset. I was heartbroken. You were heartbroken. That's not how I would say it. The way I would say it is you didn't listen to her. You tricked her into believing that you wanted to have kids. And then when she said, that's kind of a deal breaker for me, you reacted like, what's going on here? When it was on you. So there was that. You were very hurtful in the way you talked about her breath or about STIs, instead of saying, hey, I want both of us to get tested. I'm a little worried about you. I don't want you to be worried about me, back and forth. Instead, it was always on her. And the fact that she was still in connection with the biological father of the son, which of course would make sense. He was threatened by that and would accuse and say a lot of hurtful things. And those are just the things off the top of my head. So I wouldn't characterize it as you were heartbroken, I was heartbroken, things were said, let water under the bridge. Let's see what he says.
And I was just angry. I was angry. And, today I apologize.
Okay, I was angry. I was heartbroken. I was angry. And today I apologize. Let's see if he can, often on this show, what I will point out is there's a huge difference between on the surface taking responsibility or apologizing and really apologizing, which it is typified by the ability to really identify how you did something wrong to the other person and communicating that clearly to the other person. That almost never happens on this show. Let's see if he can. Now, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist under the surface for him, but you'd think if he was really sorry, like, oh, I've never told you this, I did that, that's on me, I don't know what's wrong with me. Let's see if he can say that.
Helped me in so many ways. I'm very happy. I'm growing. I still have a lot to learn, but...
So I don't know where he is in his journey at this point. We do know that he started to go to therapy. I think he might be in the middle of his relationship with Liz at the point of this interview. Maybe not. Maybe at the end of it. I think his tears are real. I don't think he's faking it. I think he has a lot of pain. I think he feels like there's something wrong with him and he tries to overcompensate in various different ways. But he says, you've really taught me a lot. It's still not really saying, Rose, I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry for this. I'm sorry for that. he's edging towards there. He's like, I'm learning about myself. I'm getting to know what's wrong with me. I'm healing or whatever. Certainly encouraging words if I were his friend or his therapist for that matter, but it's still not really apologizing.
You admired me and you touched my heart, even though it didn't work out.
It's a pretty weird way to put it. You admired me. What? So, yeah, let's see what Rose says here.
I do, yes.
During the tell-all, you were saying that you didn't think she had loved
I was upset. We were throwing mud at each other. I was upset. And, I knew she loved me. I knew it was over. We were just mad. I was just mad and she was mad.
All right. I'm glad that they haven't talked since the tell-all, and it was pretty conflictual, very conflictual during the tell-all. And so I'm glad that the two of them are getting this opportunity to have this conversation. They asked her, Sean asked her, were you in love with him? And she says, yeah, I was back then, which seemed clear to me. And Ed says, yeah, I felt that love. And during the tell-all, I was angry and I accused her that she never loved me. And this is, you'll hear me talk about this sometimes, that during a breakup, it's really important, the narrative that we build about the relationship, because it will determine our susceptibility to paranoia in the future. If the narrative of a past relationship, and all of our past relationships, is that our partners never loved us, they were gaslighting us, they were out to get us, and that's kind of a gray area, like you're just seeing it that way when it wasn't actually that way, then the next person you date, you're going to be very paranoid about, because everyone in the past has screwed you over. Whereas if you can look back at a relationship and say, yeah, the love was real and we hurt each other and we broke up and it's just a terrible thing. I did bad things, she did bad things. It's for the two of them, it sounds like they have that narrative now that the dust is settled, which is good for them in terms of their ability to look back on something, which is probably accurate. I think that is, the way that I would describe it is they fell in love legitimately, and due to his relational traumas, he became triggered pretty easily, but wasn't aware of it, would subtly attack her, which would hurt her feelings. She would communicate that she was hurt. He would apologize profusely, but not really take responsibility, and then very quickly go back into another mode of feeling entitled to pressure her or to disregard her. And that would hurt her. And then eventually she said, that's the last straw. I'm done with this relationship. I don't think Ed intended on doing those things. I think it does have to do with his psychology. And I'm trying to remember, from the last tell-all from the single life, he went into more detail. Colt kept interrupting him, if I remember right, on this belief system deep down that he believes he's not lovable. And because of that, he creates this persona as a defense against that, and is incredibly easily triggered when there are signs of someone leaving him. Like with that infamous phone call where he's yelling at Liz, I would suspect, I don't know, I couldn't know, but that, from what was happening was she was driving someone home, a guy from her work, and was just driving him home, from what I understand. And that really triggered him. He felt like he was being, supplanted by this other guy who I wonder if Ed considers to be more attractive than him. It's like, there's another guy, he's younger, he's more attractive than I am, and you're driving him home, and very triggering, which we could understand, but the behavior he resorts to is control and put down and belittling. And that's I'm guessing he learned that from somewhere, or he's so desperate that he does that. Doesn't justify it. It's abusive, flat out, mildly criminal. But I think it generates from a massive insecurity that he's never going to be loved.
Accept ko lahat. Pakipas na yan. And part na rin siya naging part na rin siya ng life ko. Tsaka, yun nga, Kung manghihinayang ko, bakit? Para saan? Di ba? Kasi move on na ako.
Well, I'm happy.
So, interesting response. One, that he would ask the question, do you regret meeting me? Because there's a pretty good chance that she would say yes. So, for him to ask that question requires a certain amount of openness, which I'll commend him for. And then she gives a very political answer, I think. I think she does have some regrets about having met him, but she's essentially saying, look, it already happened. Why regret it? It's a part of my life now, and I'm moving forward with my life. So, you know, what we're not hearing is, no, I don't regret meeting you. I loved you. It was great. You know, things went, we're not hearing that. What we're hearing is, it's in the past. I'm moving forward. Why regret things? So I think she still has a lot of hurt feelings, which would make total sense. I mean, the way he treated her, right?
Happy that you're happy. And I don't regret meeting you at all. You changed my life. You changed my life for the better. So thank you.
Okay, so he's in that mode, which he is good at. If I hadn't seen this mode before, I'd be like, oh, it's good. But we've seen this mode before, which can be quickly followed up with some pretty hurtful behavior, is what I'll say. And in this moment, he's saying, I'm glad I met you. He's very firm about that, very, you know, charismatic, if you will. I'm glad I met you. You made me a better person. Great, if that's true, because we haven't really heard how. You know, if you follow it up with, well, I learned about myself that I have problems in this area, or when you told me about the fact that I did this, you know, it gave me some food for thought, and I realized, yeah, I guess I do have a problem with that. We're not hearing that. And he would do this when he was with Rose, where he would apologize, and he would seem very remorseful, but there was no substance to the remorse. There was no substance to the apology, because I think he does this as a way of trying to get people to like him. Because he's operating from a place of insecurity and people aren't going to love me, he has learned how to be very good at getting people to like him, and he knows how to say things. Not like he's lying, but he just kind of knows what people want to hear or something. And I think there's a grain of truth to the thing. I'm not saying he's lying. But then when they get close to him, that's when his insecurities get really triggered, and he can't hold back that part of him that gets extremely angry about his feelings being hurt. So so I wonder if we're seeing just another example of that. I don't know, total speculation.
Who do you think this is?
Oh my God.
That's Tariq, right? That's, of course, Tariq. I didn't know he was in band, though. That's interesting.
Oh, you got me.
That is Tariq. I didn't guess that one either.
I mean, that's easy. It's Zied. It looks like how he does now. Maybe 5 years younger or something. Of course, that's Zied. Come on. Get a more difficult one than that.
Oh my God, I love you so much. I love you so much. Oh my God.
Well, that's Darcy, of course. You know, looks quite a bit different. But yeah, it's Darcy, of course.
You're talking about Juliana. You're talking about, no. I think that's Darcy.
No way. Oh my God.
Yes.
What happened to Darcy?
What do you mean?
Look.
Beautiful.
Oh my God. What
Beautiful.
happened? That's what happens to me on dating websites.
All right. Well, that does it for that episode of Psychology in Seattle. Everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really, really do.